Hi, welcome back everybody to 10 Minute Traveller. We're going to be looking at creating characters. And when we're creating characters, we have to start with one of the books. I'm going to be using book number 1 of the Little Black Books, which is the Characters and Combat book. You can use also characters from book 4, which is Mercenary, those from High Guard, which are naval characters, Mercenary being army characters, book 6, which is Scouts, and book 7, which is Merchant Prince, and the name gives that away a little bit. Then there's also the book which is the Citizens of the Imperium, which is a different set of types of characters like the Belter or the Hunter. Anyway, in creating characters, it works very much the same way across all of the books. Essentially, you start off the game at 18 years old and you join a service. After you've joined that service, you go through a term. A term is approximately 4 years, and after you've been through that term, a few things will have happened. You might have been commissioned, and if you've been commissioned, you might have been promoted. You might also have not got through it. One of the things that's regularly joked about, especially Classic Traveller, is the fact that you can die in character creation, and that's true, you can. There is something called a survival role, and we'll talk about that when we get into it. What you can see on the screen here is basically page 8 and 9 of the Character and Combat book, and it talks about the characteristics, which I've also gone through in one of my previous videos. But then it gets into this area here about acquiring skills and expertise, and this is where I'm going to be talking about how we actually make a character. Now, given the fact that it takes a little bit longer than 10 minutes to go through creating a character, what I'll do here is I'll break this down into a couple of videos. So this video is going to really look at the mechanics of how you create the character, and then what I'll do is I'll actually create a character or pieces of a character in another video that will come up after this one. The tables and the tools that we're really going to be using to do this is actually found in the Little Black Book on page number 14. So if you have second edition, such as I do, although in the other editions it will look something similar to this. What you can see down the side here is a number of different elements, and across the top is a number of different services. We're going to have a look at the prior service table. Down the left hand side we've got Enlistment, Draft, Survival, Commission, Promotion and Reenlist. Across the top, Navy, Marines, Army, Scouts, Merchants and Other. This is the table that I'm going to be concentrating on for the rest of this video. So let's start off with Enlistment. With Enlistment, you choose the service that you want. In our example here, we've got Navy, Marines, Army, Scouts, Merchants and Other. When you've decided what you want to try and join, you make a roll, 2d6, and you add any other modifiers that might be in the game. Your GM will help you with that. And if you get, in the case of Navy for example here, 8 or more, you're in. So you get to start serving your term of 4 years. If you fail to actually get into the service that you want with an enlistment roll, then you can use the draft. What you roll is 1d6, and that versus the actual services that you've got in the prior services table. So Navy, Marines, Army, Scouts, Merchants or Other. You'll see that they've got a draft number 1 to 6, and that's the service that you're drafted into. Now we come to Survival, which is a controversial one because it is possible that if you fail your survival roll, then essentially your character is dead. Sticking to that one is controversial, like I said, because you could go through a number of terms and then all of a sudden find out that you can't use the character. But the survival roll is written down underneath which service you're on. In my example here, it's survival 5+, a DM of +2 if you've got an intelligence of 7, so that's for the Navy, so you would have to be very unlucky, but of course that's possible. If you're playing some optional rules, it could be that you do survive, but you have to force out of the service at that point, can't re-enlist. That's possible to do as well, but consult the referee to find out if they are going to be using those harsh rules. Next is Commission and Promotion. These work together Essentially, it's a mechanism that allows you to actually gain ranks in a service. So in the Navy, you can become an admiral, for example. In the Army, you could become a captain. The way that it works is that you roll for your commission once. Once you've got it, then every term that you spend in that service, you can make a promotion roll and gain ranks as you go. So, if you're in the Navy for 4 terms, it would be possible if you made your commission roll in the first term to have 4 rises in ranks. Obviously, if the top rank is rank 6, you'd need to spend 6 terms in whichever service it was. So the commission roll is made, and there are modifiers usually for different attributes such as social class or education. And you'll need to get the number that's actually registered underneath the different service that you have. In my example here, the Navy, it would be 10 plus. After you've done that, then the promotion roll is rolled in very much the same way, another 2d6, and make the promotion roll in my example here of 8 plus, and there'll be a modifier, as you can see, for the Navy of education of 8 plus as well. So keep an eye on those modifiers. Once you've made that promotion, make sure that you register it for the next term that you're going to go into, and hopefully you can get to a higher level, and the ranks will mean that you can get better mustering out benefits usually, and of course you get to entitle your character with that rank when you're out in the big wide world. Once you've completed a term, if you wish to go back in and do another term, then you'll need to make a re-enlistment roll. For a lot of players, I've found that it's easier for them to ask if they can go back into the service than make the re-enlistment roll. Because in my opinion, I think that if you want players to actually try and sculpt the character that they want, you should give them a little bit of flexibility. I find the re-enlistment number to be a little bit controversial for me, probably even more so than survival, because at least with survival you have to be extremely unlucky, and if you're dead, then maybe you don't really care about your character as much going forward, obviously. But with re-enlistment, it can really put a spanner in the works if you were intending to be that great pilot or that wonderful tactician or whatever it may be. Anyway, if you're using the re-enlistment, then there is the number. It'll be under the service that you're in, and if you make it, you can go back in for another term and go through that. So that's the end of the first video. What we've seen is that you can actually get yourself into a service. You can enlist into them, or you can be drafted into them. You can be commissioned, you can be promoted, you can be re-enlisted, or indeed you could probably die. A term is 4 years, and as you get older, then you'll be taking aging effects, which are part of Book 1, and it gives you details in Book 1 about what they might be. So although you'll get more skills as you get older, you'll also become more frail and generally as a weaker character in that respect. But there's no substitute for experience. Okay, in the next video, what I will do is I will add to this, and I'm going to create a character, and I'm going to talk about mustering out and getting skills as I do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.